It's about to get effing cool.
Hey all, welcome to the EFNcool Podcast, where we talk about everything EFNcool. If you haven't heard my voice before, I'm Tyler MC, and this is my very first time on the podcast, here with Chris and Mason. How are you guys doing today?
Good, man. Good. It's fun to have you on the podcast, and you're hosting it too. That's the cool part. This is Tyler's show tonight. We're just the guests, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's right, man. This is awesome. First time kind of connecting with you on the show. I know we did a little Red Ranger Madness thing before, but we just said, you know what? Let's just put him right to work. He comes in the door. We just put him right to work in the hosting chair. So this is all you tonight, man. So tell us what we're talking about tonight.
Well, today we're going to be talking about Radiant Black and all of the various spin-offs that are just spouting off of this thing. I mean, we've got Radiant Black, we got Supermassive, Rogue Sun, Radiant Red, and pretty soon we're going to have a whole bunch more. But the way we're going to do this is the first half of the podcast is going to be spoiler-free, or at least spoiler-light, so we can kind of do an elevator pitch, see if anybody vibes with, the tone of Radiant Black or like the story of it. We'll put in the description where we start going into spoiler talk, so we can get into some of the more detailed things that are happening in it currently. But first, I think we can go around and just talk about what is effing cool right now with you. So, Mason, let's start off. What's effing cool in your life right now?
Oh man, there's so much that's that can be effing cool. I recently just got back into the Marvel's Avengers game. I had just played that game when it first came out, and it was kind of trash at that point. And so I've picked it up recently, and they've done a ton of updates. They've done a ton of stuff to it. There's a ton of cool skins. I saw like an ad online that was like, pick up the Iron Man 2008 skin for free right now on the item shop. And so I was like, okay, I'll get it. And I got it on PS5. And so I've been kind of addicted to that. So that's super fun. And there's a lot more story to it last time I played. So been kind of hammering that out with my 6-year-old.
That's great. Did you see, I saw somewhere on Twitter, they released like some concept art for if they wanted to include Ant-Man in that game. And it looked pretty sick.
Yeah, I think Ant-Man, War Machine, I got the helmet behind me, War Machine and Captain Marvel are coming this year, so that'd be super dope.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right, Chris, what's effing cool with you right now?
Kind of like Mason, man. There's a lot of stuff that's effing cool right now. In my personal life, my oldest turned 6. By the time this podcast releases, it will have been past tense, but for the sake of recording, it's future tense. It's tomorrow morning, actually. So I've spent the last probably 2 or 3 weeks with my wife just trying to come up with the coolest birthday we could come up for him. He's a huge Legend of Zelda fan right now. Huge. Breath of the Wild is his game. That's all he plays 24/7. So we went Zelda themed pretty heavy on that. So I worked some magic to get some cool things for him. Aside from that, then it's just getting ready for the summer, like in the sense of we have all these effing cool shows coming out, right? You have
Right.
Obi-Wan coming out, you have Stranger Things season 4, you have Top Gun Maverick, which I'm not going to lie, since I've watched that movie when I was like 5 years old with my best friend at his house when I lived in Minnesota, 30 something years ago. I've been waiting for a sequel, and it's finally here. I don't care if it was filmed 6 years ago and it's just now releasing. I'm gonna go see that dang thing. And then it's just like you have Game of Thrones is a new show coming out this year. You have the Lord of the Rings show coming out later this year. I'm a toy guy. New toy season's about to hit, right? You have new Transformers coming out. You've got Hasbro's getting all their fan first whatever day of the weeks they want to do coming up. It's just exciting to be in geek culture right now, and I think that's effing cool.
Yeah, that's right. We got that Tan Turst Tuesday coming up next week, which I'm not sure when this comes out, might be past tense at this point. But yeah, there's a lot of really exciting things coming out, and I'm not sure how I feel about that Game of Thrones show. I was a little burnt by the finale of the last season.
True.
And I'm not sure. And like I got the Fire and Blood book, but it read like a history book and I'm not sure how
Yes.
they were going to pull too much like plot from that, but you never
I
know. I mean,
I'm
HBO pulls that
I'm
good
willing to
stuff.
give it a shot. I'm willing to give it a shot only because I know when Game of Thrones ended, the writers were kind of like, we're done. We got stuff to do. Like, so let's just go. And, George R. Martin was kind of like, well, that could be how the book ends. It could not be, I'm still writing it. It's like, they were just trying to get out. Basically, they tried to tie up whatever loose strings they'd left into like 3 final episodes. So they're gone. This is a whole new team. So we already know what the ending is. It's not a big spoiler. It's just the story leading up to it. So I'm excited for that. So I'll give it a shot. I missed the Game of Thrones when it aired last time, like as it happened. So I'm not gonna miss this boat this time. I'm gonna be on board.
Yeah, that's interesting because I wasn't a Game of Thrones fan at all. I've never seen the show or anything like that. I've not gone back to watch it at all. So I know a lot of people were disappointed by the ending. So I was wondering what kind of the fan reaction would be to this prequel show coming out. But that's cool. That's cool that you guys are looking forward to it. So
Half and half.
half and half. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cautiously optimistic. We'll see.
I think good things can come from that. But Legend of Zelda birthday party, that sounds pretty sick. That sounds like a lot of fun for your kid and probably for you.
My wife is making a cake. I'll show you guys a picture when it's all said and done. It'll be on my social media too when it happens. But she makes really good like decorative cakes. So she's making the shield, the Hylian shield, in cake form.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. I have faith.
Are you going to make him pull the sword out of the cake?
Oh yeah, because we got him. One of the gifts we got him like a costume prop, actual sword and shield that for him will be like life size, like 1-to-1 scale for him.
Yeah.
So,
that's so cool.
Yeah, no, we thought about like we came up with all these really cool ideas after the fact. Like you could get one of those things where you open the chest and it's like do, But nah, I was a little bit too late on that one. We came up with that like 3 days ago. It's like, oh, that would have been cool, but we don't. When you have 3 kids like I do, you run the risk of if you do too much for one and you don't do enough for the other.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's also kind of bring it back in just a little bit. You know what I mean? So
that's cool though. That's cool. Your 6-year-old's into Zelda, like super into that. That's awesome.
He will fight something on the game and then turn around and immediately draw like 6 pictures about it.
Yeah,
like immediately.
Awesome.
Like I have more artist interpretations of what just happened drawn by him than anything I've ever done in my life. So it'll be fun. I'll have plenty of pictures and videos. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's effing cool.
Love it. It was really effing cool. So what's effing cool with me? I mean, just being a dad in general, like to kind of continue off what Chris is saying. My daughter is 5 months old now, so
you're in that.
Don't have to put in too much effort. Not impressed by much except make myself look like an elephant and make a noise. That tends to get her to laugh right now. But
it doesn't change even when she's like 3 or 4. That'll still be the go-to. I promise you.
All right.
Mason can speak to it too.
Yeah, I've got a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, and they're just like amused by some of the stuff. The 6-year-old's starting to talk back a little bit in the sense of like he looked at me the other day and he's like, "That's lame." And I was like, "Hey, calm down, all right? I'm trying here with the jokes."
I forgot I told my almost 6-year-old something today. Like I told him like I took the weekend off of work, and so I told him when I picked him up, he's like, "Oh, cool." And then I was reminding him at bedtime, and he's like, "Dad, you already told me that." I was like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Sorry, geez.
All right,
yeah.
Know it all, whatever."
When they're like, "Why do you keep telling me the same thing over and over again?" It's like, because I'm old and I can't remember stuff. Okay, I can't remember what I've told you, or I'm trying to build hype for you. So that's what you got to look forward to. But that's awesome. A 5-month-old daughter. That's those are the tough sleep times, I guess. Like it's like making really okay, good.
Not with her. Awesome. She sleeps through the night. Like I put her down at 10 o'clock. I wake her up at like 6 a.m. It is one of those things where I'm like, I'm so lucky right now that I just know she's going to find some new way of making my life difficult down the line. You know what I mean? I'm like, the karma will outbalance this. Like, but I'm grateful for the sleep while I have it. But yeah, so she's great. Otherwise, I've been watching the show Dimension 20, A Starstruck Odyssey. which is it's a D&D live play show using a Star Wars D&D system, and it's set in the Starstruck universe, which Starstruck is a comic series from the 80s that the Dungeon Master's mom wrote. So it's an anthology D&D series. Sometimes they have stuff set in like New York City modern times. They have like a high school fantasy setting, but whatever the DM was like looking for a sci-fi setting, he was like, oh, that's right, mom wrote one. I can use the story she's been telling me since like I was a little kid to like inform this entire like universe, and it's been a really wild ride. So that's been my current obsession, I guess. What's pretty effing cool around here.
That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah. Have you seen Moon Knight yet?
First episode, but not the second one.
Okay. Yeah, we watched the second episode last night, and it was really good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I failed. I haven't watched Moon Knight. I haven't watched Halo. I'm not holding up my end of the bargain. I'm sorry.
We're giving
TV.
Yeah, we're giving Halo a couple weeks at a time so we can watch a few episodes at a time. But in between that, we've gone back and started watching the second season of Daredevil now that it's on Disney Plus, and that show is intense. Like, I didn't realize how intense that show was. I mean, it's older now, but like it's about to become more relevant, so that's why we kind of picked it back up. So, but yeah, it's that's been fun to watch too. So that's effing cool with me as well.
Yeah, that's great. I sat down. I was watching with my wife, and she was like, "All right, what do I need to prep for this one? What informs this one?" I'm like, "Nope, Moon Knight, you're good. Moon Knight is just starting off. No connection to like any of the other movies we've watched, as far as I know, as far as episode 1 is at least. But it's Moon Knight's also pretty intense. I mean,
yeah,
good amount of violence. Seems like there's a bit of a cult storyline going on, and
yeah, it's definitely different,
it's
which is cool, and the whole mental aspect of the whole thing. The second, I'm not going to spoil anything in the second episode, but it kind of like makes helps the story along and makes the first episode make way more sense. So I was kind of like, this is cool after the first episode. After the second episode, I'm like, I'm hooked. I'm ready. I want more. Give me more. So
right on. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we should get into the meat of the podcast, shouldn't we?
Probably.
Definitely. So Radiant Black was released 1 year ago. I think about a year and a month ago now, as a brand new superhero series with Image Comics, headed by Kyle Higgins, who a lot of people probably recognize from the Power Ranger comics. He's the man responsible for Lord Draken and so many other innovations that have been really cool in that series. And it was his first attempt at trying to have his own creator-owned superhero, which is something that Image has been known for decades at this point, right? Since Spawn.
Has it been decades? Oh, I'm feeling old.
I'm
feeling really
30
old now.
years. They're celebrating 30 years now.
I remember when Spawn came out and how like that was the cool comic superhero, man. The X-Men are lame now. It's all about Spawn. I remember. I was I'm old. I feel really old now.
You should. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you should. You guys should feel old. But no, it's at the time it was a pretty revolutionary concept. I mean, X-Men, like, they've been headed by different people, different times, like Jonathan Hickman, but so much of it had to be done by committee. So much of it has to be agreed upon with like Marvel. But these creator-owned series could have, I think, a much more clear vision of what they wanted them to be, and Radiant Black's kind of continuing on that tradition. So I think it'd be kind of cool. How did you guys hear about Radiant Black? What was your kind of introduction to the series, and what was the hook that's kept you reading to today?
Well, I think for me it was I'm a huge Power Ranger fan, so I've grown up watching Power Rangers and stuff. And so when I read the comics, I was like, perfect, great. This is awesome. Kyle's a great writer and everything. And then, just classic bridge from following him and keeping up with him and the Ranger Danger guys and all that kind of thing. And when they announced this Radiant Black thing, I was like, okay, I'll give it a chance. I'm not. He's described it before as like a Sentai themed hero type of stuff, I guess, is that the way to put it, Chris?
Kind of like Spider-Man with some tokusatsu flavor in the sense that there's a transform, so to speak, but it's still dealing with a young person who's a new superhero type of deal.
Yeah, so that was kind of like I'm not too much into the Toku side of things, so like I'm more into the Power Rangers in the US and Marvel and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, I'll give it a shot, for sure. And really, I think when what hooked me on the series was issue 4, when the dialogue was really good leading up and a lot of character building and all that kind of stuff. And then when Nathan dies, or essentially dies in that issue, when he gets
spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler.
Oh shoot! Yeah.
Something that happened 9 months ago.
Just have to bleep that out. No.
No, but anyway, so I think at that point I was like, okay, I'm hooked on this, and then the whole thing just exploded after that. So I won't get too much into the meat of it right now, which we can talk about a little bit later. But yeah, so I think that's kind of what hooked me on the comic and just the dialogue. And Kyle is just a great writer. The one thing I like about Kyle's writing is he does a lot with a little. So he doesn't have as much words on the page as much as he does awesome scenes, but he still conveys the message really well. And that's one, aspect of his writing that I really appreciate and that has kept me reading as well.
I'm a little bit different from everybody else because I've had a little more insight into the creation of Radiant Black. So I met Kyle through Power Rangers, through his work at Boom Studios and Power Rangers, and got to know him on a more personal level. And so without going into things too deeply or opening too many windows into stuff, I kind of got to see the evolution of the idea to where it finally launched. And I was very excited to pick it up and actually physically hold something that, conceptualized 18 months prior. And I love the idea that you have all these superheroes that exist out there, right? You have all these Marvel superheroes, all these DC superheroes. You can go into Valiant if you want to. You can do all these different comic companies that have their own licensed superheroes or their own, they created their own superheroes. But what strikes me about Radiant Black is, one, it's a new superhero. Two, it is creator owned. So, the difference between writing for a licensed property and writing for your own property is you make your own decisions. I think it'd be a hard sell for the most part to try to take what Mason was saying earlier, what happened in issue 4 of Radiant Black, and try to sell that to a major publisher, where they would own the character. Like, you don't really change the main character out 4 issues into the book. You just don't do that. But Kyle did. And what keeps me reading is the fact that you can tell that Kyle is also a director, right? And he's a director who knows the medium that he's telling the story in. So where you have some comic book writers who are trying to fill as much exposition into a page as they can, because I have to get the story out, I have to get the narrative out, because if I don't, you won't understand what happens in the next issue or the issue after that. Kyle, and he said on a recent podcast, like, he's already planned up to like issue 36 or 37.
Yeah, I think I heard that.
Yeah. He's already planned all the way up that far. That being said, like I said, he's a film director because he knows how to fit the story into the medium he's telling. He is the king of page turners, right? When you flip a page and then there's boom, something happens, and you flip the page. He's been doing that since his time on Power Rangers. And he's said before, like, that's one of the things he loves, is he got that feeling when he was a kid. You turn the page, it's like, whoa, especially when the book ends on a big page turner. And he's taking he's taking big risks and big gambles. Like, you have the actual Blacklight issue, which was fantastic. Which was just something extra. If you got it, it was like printed in a special like neon ink. So if you got a Blacklight out, it changes the entire like story around a little bit.
I think I have it like over on that table over there. It's an amazing issue.
Yeah, it's just wow. Yeah. Like, who does that, right? Like you said, changing the main character like they did. The reveal, this is maybe a bigger thing earlier than the issue, not so much now, but talking about like Radiant Red, like everyone thought Radiant Red was going to be a certain character, and it turned out to be an entirely different character, and then it's, not, you think it's a villainous character, it turns out it's not. It's just a different person with a different struggle. And for me, that's what another big thing too is the story elements. Kyle, when he introduces something, he always pays back to it at some point, right? I forget what the terminology called. There's something there's a phrase that they use in movies to describe, like, if you introduce something in Act 1, by Act 3 you need to pay off on what you introduced, or you need to reference it back. If you
Schrodinger's gun.
Schrodinger's gun, exactly.
Yeah.
And it may not be the same issue. It may not even be the same year it comes out, but he always, if he introduces something, it always comes back to it in some way, shape, or form, big or small. So if you pay attention, you get all those little Easter eggs start coming through a little bit. Like you saw Savage Dragon. I think it's on issue 1. How many people even realize Savage Dragon, right? Another Image staple from way back in the day, is on the TV screen in the background, meaning Savage Dragon is in the universe of Radiant Black. Like, that ties it together.
Or there is a Savage Dragon TV series that is playing in the universe of Radiant.
But if you're a football fan, you notice that it's a quarterback in the Chicago Bears uniform who's not a Chicago Bear. So
trying to project there.
Yeah, so it's those type of things. And obviously, creator-owned books, the creator owns it, so there's a little bit more love and care put into it. And knowing the editor, which is one of the guys from Ranger Danger, I think is that Michael? I think it's Michael.
Michael Basuto. Yeah,
it's Michael. Matt. That's right. Matt's writing Inferno Girl Red. So, but Michael, probably the only person who cares as much about Radiant Black as Kyle would be Michael. So, and I will tell you time and time again, if you enjoyed Shattered Grid Power Rangers, like for those who are watching who read that incredible run at the Power Rangers books, who made Power Ranger comic books actually entertaining to read. And don't get me wrong, they're still entertaining with Ryan Parrott. But after years of paper cuts stories, like, this was like a gift from the gods. The Michael and Matt played a big role in keeping that whole story together without it falling apart or missing a beat or a character suddenly showing up who wasn't supposed to be there. That was Matt and Michael keeping that intact. So to have Michael running Radiant Black behind the scenes with Kyle, I mean, it's a dream team. It's exciting and so much fun. It's every month is just like, let's go. Like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I hope our excitement, our enthusiasm can get some people interested in picking it up if they haven't already.
Oh, same. And Michael Basuto is also, his excitement is everywhere. Like, he's so active on the Radiant Black Discord. He's active on the Radiant Black subreddit. Like, I'll see him pop up and answer questions. Like, someone's asking about, like, is Supermassive ever going to be part of, like, trade paperback? And he was like, we don't plan to. That's why we tried to make it, like, the binding that we did. And he's just always there with answers. And it's just really cool to see everyone involved with Radiant Black and all the spinoffs be just all in, 100% care about this world, care about this universe, care about these characters. And yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah. I think it's really cool that they're doing something kind of unique. They kind of connect in the books, like the QR code in the book that leads back to the Radiant Black website in that one issue. Like, they're kind of like you mentioned with the things on the TV. He's talking about Cal, his was that a short film or was that a book he did?
That was a short. That was a book.
Okay,
that was like a superhero organization. Yeah, it was like a superhero organization that I don't remember the exact details on it, but
yeah,
I actually read Cal in preparation for this podcast. It's really good.
Yeah, I need to read it. I definitely need to read it. I've been told I need to go read it.
Same. What they're doing is like creating this universe straight out the gate too, with like all these different books and things like that. It's like, I mean, it took Marvel so many years to even create like this connected movie universe, and Kyle's doing it within the first few issues, and all this kind of stuff. So, and just the way they came in with Supermassive and bringing Ryan and Matt and all these kind of things. It's just it's a fun thing to read and be a part of because, like you said, Kyle writes comic books like he would prepare a movie. He lets it breathe too, which is really cool. Like you said, there's, like we mentioned with the dialogue and stuff like that, he really lets scenes in the comic books breathe as far as like yeah, we're not going to address that right now. We'll address it down the road, but and there's like Easter eggs and things like that. And I just think it's really unique, and it's super fun take on,
I think
kind of the drama we kind of go through as like a 20 something, 30 something single man.
I think too.
And actually, we have somebody else joining us right now that I'm going to just bring in right now. So
cool.
How's it going, Chris?
Oh, hi.
This is for those who don't know. This
Mason
is Kyle Higgins.
Guys.
What's up, man? We were just
Writer.
talking
Kyle,
about
hi.
you.
We're just discussing.
We were saying very nice things about you. Wow. Okay. Hi.
I mean, that beats the alternative. Does this sound okay? I got a new microphone, so I'm trying to. That's what happens when you have surgery. You try to make yourself feel better with things that maybe you don't need, but you really think would be cool. And a new microphone setup was one of those. So,
how are you feeling?
I feel awful.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. It's I had this big knee surgery, and it's 6 to 8 weeks in this full brace. So I'm not allowed to put any weight on it. So it's a crutch everywhere. I'm not allowed to bend it either outside of this machine that I have to use for 4 hours each day. And then I have physical therapy 3 times a week and a very needy, emotionally needy cat. So it's a lot. Even just getting food from like we have 20 minutes or 25 minutes because the food's in the oven and I can't, it's going to take me a minute to get to it and then figure out how to get it to my table. So, and then trying to work with all that is like a lot. So,
well, we really, really appreciate you taking even just a few minutes out of your time to pop in. And spoiler, Tyler had no idea this was happening. So
no, I feel bad. You were talking about like your surgery and recovery, and I feel like I'm just sitting here smiling, like,
no
Higgins
worries.
is here, and I'm like, no, look serious.
No worries. It's nice to meet you guys. Yeah, no, Chris asked
too.
if I had a few minutes to hop on a little impromptu Zoom. I guess you guys are you guys reviewing negatively the first volume of Radiant Black? Is that what this is?
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're talking all kinds of crap about it right now. It's,
okay, no, that's cool.
Yeah, just trashing it, man. Yeah.
Love that.
No, man.
Love that.
No, really, thanks for joining us. And we were actually just talking so many good things about this and how really unique it is, and how fun it really has been to read. And I actually just crammed the last few issues recently. So yeah, it's the universe you're building is really fun and really interesting in the fact of like, I've never really been into like heroes kind of in the tokusatsu type thing, but the spin you put on it with like the issues of being like a 20, 30 something, I'm not a year old and all that kind of stuff, and dealing with those problems and all that is just really unique and interesting. So,
thanks. How do you know Chris and not be a fan of tokusatsu stuff?
I just kind of fell into this EFNcool thing. We were playing Final Fantasy one night and he was like, "Hey, you want to just be friends for life now?" And I'm like, "Sure, let's do that."
Make some crazy business decisions together.
Well, I like that I take a small little bit of credit for some of this EFNcool. I was on Chris about building something for himself, and doing something that isn't really out there as far as like a kind of culture of pop culture site.
Kyle was the push I needed, and this is the result. So, and I'm very thankful for that, because I have a whole new set of people I consider friends that will be friends for a long time, and partners in business, and
there you go.
Yeah, I'm grateful too, because I'm just some goober who was like, "Hey, I'll write about D&D if you guys want." And they're like, "Okay." So now I'm here. That's cool.
Well, cool. Let's keep going right where we left off. There's no reason to change it up.
Yeah. I was gonna jump off of what Mason was saying about like how the universe is just expanding so much. I was at my comic shop about a month ago. Shout out to the Inner Geek in Huntington, West Virginia. And I was getting my pull list, and they're like, "Oh yeah, these are all like Radiant Black, right?" And I just kind of lay them out, and I'm like, All right. This one is Radiant Red. It's a spinoff. This one is Supermassive. It's a crossover. This
Right.
one is Rogue Sun. It's a crossover. It's a spinoff of the crossover. It's all getting big. It's all huge, and it's all exciting. It's all good too. Like there hasn't
Thanks.
been a miss in my mind. Like
Yeah, we're working. I mean, everything is designed to be different. That's the other thing. Like, it's funny because I think part of the messaging on the books kind of was not quite right initially. And so the idea that they're spin-offs of Radiant Black, I understand that. And like I get it, but we never designed them that way. We looked at and engineered Supermassive to be this celebratory kind of superhero crossover that we could tee up those characters in a cool way by using the Radiant Black platform. But I think that the reason I highlight that is because it's like you don't have to. Well, the reason I highlight it really is because like I think that's why they all work as well as they do, because each one is designed to be fully formed and to be able to exist entirely on its own. It's not something that is reliant on Radiant Black or Radiant Black IP. There's like aesthetic similarities and crossover and even naming conventions, but everyone's kind of taking their own city and kind of in some ways their own genre. Like we're building out, like Ryan's definitely the supernatural side in Rogue Sun, and we're building out the tech futurist kind of side, little cyberpunky with the Dead Lucky right now. And Radiant Red is our crime, heist book. So it's that's by design that they all kind of feel and are so unique. And and really it's a product of like every creator owns their own book. I mean, the Radiant Black stuff, like Marcelo and I own because it's Radiant Black IP, but like everyone's involved in royalties and so you get creators best that way.
Yeah, that's really
I think
cool.
that's a cool thing. I mean, I think it's most clear in Radiant Red, right? Because Radiant Red is so clearly like just looking at the base suit design. Okay, Radiant Red, Radiant Black, same. But then you start looking at like the powers, personalities, and like you're saying, theming of those two books. Totally, completely, absolutely different.
Yeah.
And not dependent on each other either, but still feed into each other and help inform this universe that they're in. And it's cool how many opportunities can come from, one really great book. Does that make sense?
No, definitely. I totally.
Yeah. And you were talking about Supermassive, and maybe you can elaborate this on a little bit on this, Kyle. But reading Supermassive, not really knowing anything about these other two heroes, I think you introduced them well enough there to where they felt like staples to the universe in the first few pages. It was one of those things that was, to me, it was like Marvel took 8 movies to build the Avengers, right. And you came in with this, we're going to introduce all these characters, and they just felt like staples to the universe and like somebody we could really relate to in that fact.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, it was by design. We tried to take full advantage of the space that we had, as well as the creative and emotional kind of responsibilities that we felt that a story like this should have. A Doctor Who special is really kind of the feel that we were going for, where it's fun, it's an adventure, it's standalone, but also additive to the characters' journeys. And even if you don't know Inferno Girl Red and Rogue Sun yet, you get enough of who they are so that you can see how they have been changed by, the end. And when that all works and it works so well off of each other, and one character's arc is a result of interacting with another character and how things that's the stuff that we all really enjoy building and finding a way to do. So this really came together quite organically. And it made their intros really easy. Everyone wrote their own. The villain kind of angle coming out of the Radiant Black of it all was pretty easy to put together. And then there are some tenets of a crossover event that we all love and were important to us. And so, from the get-go, Michael said, well, we have to have a double page transformation. And I said, no, it has to be a double gatefold transformation that folds out. And that was a tough one to wrangle, but we figured it out with the printer. And it could only go in one very specific spot in the story. And so we actually had to add page count to the book because it would have been too late in the page count. So we had to add pages to the story, which was great because we needed them in order to make the double gatefold fold out work for the spot that it had to be in the binding, in the saddle binding. So we love taking those kind of big swings. Ryan just pitched me something really late last night for an issue of Rogue Sun that's awesome. It's an awesome idea. I'm annoyed that I hadn't thought of it yet. But it's very in the wheelhouse of some of this kind of big, cool, different, weird stuff that we like doing. I look at this stuff as much about their stories that you read, as well as much as they are storytelling experiences. And so like we try to do social media and in that way, things in the newsletter, like some of the merch drops, like it's hopefully more community kind of building in the way that, Chris, that's how you and I met, is through Power Rangers and that community. And that's a lot of fun. That was always something that I hoped. You can never really make or plan for, but you hope with a Radiant Black, like that's what I was kind of looking for. And that has kind of started to pop up, which is kind of neat.
I like what you said about like incorporating like social media, because you have the Radiant Black Twitter, which at many points has been in the actual comic too.
Right.
Most recently with these ads that have popped up.
Right.
I love them, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
That Ziviziz is probably my.
Oh yeah, Marshall.
Probably
Marshall's such a character, isn't he?
It's
and he sounds great too.
He sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like just absolutely fantastic. And I hope, and that's what I'm hoping people pick up from this book. Are those little things like that they're reading social media and they're like, what is this? And then they go read the issue and like, yeah. And it kind of pieces together, and then they start going back. Like that's what I would do. I'd go back and be like, well, what else did I, catch up on? What other tweet have I missed that foretold something, or, something along those lines? Is that something that we'll see more of going down the road too?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We have we have a big one coming up that's a lot of fun, and we've got. Well, there are a few things in particular, some of which are perhaps like live in person things. So, I just put out a newsletter today that I highlighted. I'm going to start coming back to conventions in May, just once my leg is healed and I'm able to walk again. But while I highlighted C2E2, even though it's a ways out because it's in early August, I think 6th through the 8th. But that might be something that we have some really cool plans for. And so I want to start letting people know, like, hey, you should think about C2E2 if you're a fan of Radiant Black and the Massive Verse and kind of all the stuff we're doing and kind of the weird, some of the viral stuff.
Like C2E2 Chicago and the story of Radiant Black, Marshall and Nathan live in Illinois.
Not too far from Chicago, actually, in the real town of Lockport. So there's all sorts of possibilities for, yeah.
Like I'm headed to Chicago.
C2E2 is only Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but there are all sorts of fun. Thursday's a whole day that's right before C2E2.
I feel like you're trying to tell us something.
All sorts of possibilities.
Yeah,
all the real world stuff has just been like it's so hard to describe to someone.
Yeah,
No,
what's
it's
working
cool.
for you?
This
What's working for
superhero.
you?
I mean, everything on Twitter, but like trying to explain someone like, oh yeah, no, this superhero, he sells bath bombs and you can really
Right.
buy them from him. And trying to explain like, no, like this is so tactile and
Yeah.
fun, seeing how everything is just like expanding beyond just like what you can do in a comic. Like you said with like, you know, the fold out transformation scene, I have to apologize to you. I wrote the supermassive review for EFNcool.
Mhm.
I had the digital version. I didn't realize it was
Oh.
fold out. That was
Yeah, it's
something I
pretty cool.
got whenever I got my physical copy, and I'm like, oh no, I undersold how cool this book is. And
Oh
every
no, man,
time
your review is great.
you do, thank you. But every time you do one of these things, it's just like, I didn't know comics could do that.
Right.
I
Well,
didn't know
we
you
have
could find a voice actor for a comic, for an advertisement in a comic. Like,
well, I think well, two things. There, I do have something. I have a little work experience that I can't ever really fully talk about with because of NDAs and whatnot. But I have a little work experience that in the past involves storytelling across kind of you know, let's call it ancillary media mechanisms, you know, viral marketing, ARG kind of stuff. And that was a lot of fun because it stretched different muscles for me, and the same kind of muscles that like would be a lot of fun to work in building like an escape room and stuff like that. And so that also ties into the fact that like, you know, I've been writing full time for about 12 years now, or 11 years, something like that. But at the same time, like, I never wanted to write. Like there are so many other things that I do. Like I've been a sound editor. I was a sound editor for like 10 years. Like I worked in post-production forever. I direct, like, you know, I used to shoot photography. Like there's the fact that I just write. I'm very happy and I'm fulfilled. But now I'm not. That's the point, is like this stuff has made me, it's so much more creatively fulfilling because there are multiple components and tools that you get to use as a storyteller, and the storytelling is really what's the most fun and rewarding, fulfilling for me. But being able to change up how we do it and do something different, you know, that's really cool. So, and the fact that people are engaging with it is really fun. We have two or three, no, three. Oh God. By the end of the year, by this time next year, we'll have done, if everything goes right, 4 or 5, like, holy cow, kind of, hopefully, events, engagements, things of yes, they're very different, cool storytelling ventures. I'll say that. So it's going to be year two is going to be pretty significant here.
Yeah, that's cool.
Kyle, if you tell me there's a Radiant Black escape room at C2E2, I'll buy my tickets today.
I do want to do that.
I'm sorry,
I don't think I can actually put that together in time, but that is something that would be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds epic.
Like,
yeah,
like I'll be honest, I'll say it here for the first time. I want to do like an escape from existence, like blacklight experience.
Oh,
like
sick.
that's what I really want to do. I'm not going to be able to put that in time for C2E2, but
that sounds
yeah,
that sounds incredible.
Yeah,
that's what I tell people when I talk about this comic book. I've told a lot of my friends and just people in general about Radiant Black. You got to read this. You got to read this. And I tell them it's an interactive experience. And
oh, that's great. Yeah.
Before you came on, we were talking just about how we can all really feel how your other experiences and working in film and photography and movies and things like that really bleed over into these pages. And, you know, how you let moments breathe and drop little Easter eggs here and there and all that kind of stuff. It just makes it so engaging and so much fun. So all that you're saying is definitely translating to the reader there. And, you know, we just really appreciate that. It's something
awesome.
fun, interesting, and new. to the space as well. And, I love hearing you talk about how everybody owns their own books. That's just, you're trying to it feels like you're trying to keep the corporate side pushed as much as you can away, which is really cool.
Well, it's trying to design a collective, and Michael is the editor across everything. And so that's a really nice buffer as well. So I'm different roles on different books, like on Ryan's, I'm more of a creative consultant. I'm very involved. Like I see everything, but I don't need to. It's more like because I put the art team together, and Becca, and I brought everyone on to that. And Ryan's one of my best friends, so I just love seeing the stuff, And then on Infernal Girl Red, I'm actually the editor, and on The Dead Lucky, I'm more of like a creative director, And so the point is, though, like we figure it out and work out, from a deal standpoint, that everyone owns their stuff, and Michael is across everything, and so it makes it easier to kind of build with everyone, and everyone that's involved right now is, from a personality standpoint, like we've all worked together before in different capacities. Like Melissa, certainly running Power Rangers, like Matt, Michael, Ryan, and I all have different, experience with her. So it makes it super easy to kind of collectively build this together now. And I wanted it to be something that everyone felt invested in. And so, it's more of a collective than well, no, it is a universe. I mean, universes, because Matt's book is Infernal Girl Red is a universe just beyond our own. But yeah, the collective point still applies. That was always kind of the dream, and I think for that to happen, it does have to be something that everyone has, a say in, and really feels like they're a part of.
Yeah, that's great.
Right on.
Yeah, no, that's really, that's not something you see a lot these days, which is cool, and just seems like you have it. It's I feel like I hear something new about it every day, and it's but you have it really in control, which is cool, which is which may not feel that way to you.
Well, it's not that. What's crazy is that it does feel in control. It's more a matter of bandwidth, and like we've been running hot for a long time, and so it's just kind of like, and my process is a little chaotic, and so it's constantly a struggle because I'm stretched in a bunch of different directions right now, and so like it's always a little bit of a struggle just from a bandwidth standpoint. So that's the one thing that like I gotta get further ahead on some stuff, because what we're planning for year 3 is significant. So, and we're only 4 months into year 2. So
yeah, I can't wait. That's awesome.
No, we were talking earlier too that you had mentioned on another podcast that you have already planned out like what to like issue 36, 37,
well,
something crazy like that.
Well, that's year 3. Like,
yeah,
I mean, big beats. Yeah, I know really big moves through. Yeah, 36, and then I could even probably riff out through some of the 40s. But it's cool. It's something that it's gonna be different. So, I mean, that's what the book is supposed to be.
Yeah, and I mean, year 2 is shaping up to be really different from year 1 too, in a great way, because we're meeting all these villains. And I'm not sure if you guys read the preview that Kyle released today for Sheer. Man, I hate him. I hate him so much. He's an crypto NFT scumbag doing crime to raise his NFT values, and oh boy, you really tapped into something that
he sells his crimes as NFTs. That's why he's got the new drone camera.
Nuts, man.
The dope drone cam to show off the whip.
You know what? This is one of those instances, Kyle, where you might be a little too far ahead of the game of real life right now. Like now I'm actually kind of scared.
You got the finger on the pulse of the zeitgeist,
Well, hold on.
man.
If it's not,
This
if that wasn't clear, I might need to change the lettering before we go to print.
I need to check
I mean,
that out. I did not do that today, but yeah, that's that sounds hilariously awesome.
But that's the other thing too, is that so many of these heroes and villains are modern, but not in like a pandering kind of way. It's in a like, how would people today use superhero powers? And it's like, yeah, they'd stream it. They would absolutely strap a webcam on and stream being a superhero and get followers. Like they absolutely would, you know, start their own business or sell NFTs or whatever Radiant Yellow is doing that we're not quite sure about yet. But
well, just to
yeah,
like
just
follow on what you just said there, Tyler, and that's another thing that's really cool about the whole thing is that these characters, Kyle, that you're creating, they're acting like people of today, and that's refreshing because in so many of these other superhero genres you see in the other companies and these licensed books and so forth is a staple. This character's been the same character more or less for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, just
Right.
kind of rewritten every so often. But your characters are acting like they're from the year 2021, 2022, 2023. Like real life stuff happening to us today
Right.
is stuff that you're seeing happen in these books. And I think that's one of the reasons why there's such an appeal to it.
Yeah, and I hope that more people continue to give it a shot. So that's the thing is yeah, it's we're all trying to do really kind of current and relevant stuff with superheroes while also being a book that celebrates being a fan of superheroes. So there's a meta-ness at times that I embrace because, you know, I've said this plenty of times, like the book's not about me, but there's a lot of me in the book. And like so much of my life is about superheroes or has been about superheroes in one way or another, both as a fan initially and then as a professional for, 10 years, 11 years now. And so having opportunities to use things like Cowl in Radiant Black in the way that we have been using it is a lot of fun. And to me is a way to celebrate some of the stuff that I love, like Batman the Animated Series and Batman Beyond and Ninja Turtles and all of those properties that very much influenced me as both a person and a creator. So yeah, I hope I hope the word continues to get out. So
Kyle, I know you said you have food. If you
I
need
do
to
actually. I just realized.
I was gonna say,
smell it. I gotta jump. But this is awesome, Mason,
Thank you.
Tyler. Very nice to meet you both.
Yeah, thanks for
very nice to
popping
meet you
on
too,
here.
Kyle.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yep,
thanks
of
for coming
course.
on board, Kyle. I
All right,
appreciate
I'll
it, man.
talk to you guys soon.
All
See you,
right,
buddy.
later, man.
Take care.
How dare you? How dare you, asshole, surprise me
So-
with this?
Spoiler
Last
alert.
week.
Last week the cancellation wasn't because of anything we had going on. It's because of something he had going on. So that's why we
I
canceled.
did
last
so
week.
much prep, and none of it was the question I would have asked. That was awesome. That was so cool. Wow, getting his insight in all this was that was something special. So thank you. That was
How do you even continue after that, though? I mean,
Yeah, he's
I have
such
a
a
game.
giving guest, which is awesome. He's so he gives a lot in what he says, which is really cool.
Mhm.
And I mean, I honestly, after talking to him just about that, I see it from a different lens a little bit, which is cool, and I'm glad I'm glad that what we were talking about earlier, that's what he's trying to do. That's really cool when the art is being shown through the pages and stuff like that. So everything he said, I was like, we were literally just saying like this about what he's talking about right now. So that's,
Oh yeah,
that
I
was
thought he
super
was listening in on us or something because it was exactly right on with what we were saying about the book, about it being interactive, about it doing stuff no comics have really tried to do before. Like, yeah, but yeah, It really feels like a down note after all that, but I do have a game prepped if you guys are interested.
Let's do it. Let's do this
let's
game.
move straight into that because that sounds awesome.
Let's go.
All right. This is called, is that a radiant? Basically, I went through every book and I wrote down what things are called out as being a radiant, what things aren't. And it is a surprising list in some places. So basically, anything that is called a radiant as a noun or an adjective in the pages of the book, not in the solicits, not in the question and answer question, not in any tweets, in the book. So I'm going to name something, and you guys can just say out loud, discuss amongst yourself, is that thing called a radiant or radiant blank?
Okay.
All right. First up, this black hole that Nathan Burnett finds and transforms him into radiant black.
So you're talking about the first black hole that he saw?
Yes. Has that been called a radiant?
I want to say yes. I thought one of the two characters when they saw it referred to it as said it looked almost quote ... radiant.
I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say yes.
It is called a radiant. It's called Radiant by Radiant Yellow, much, much later in the book, and then followed up by 001, refers to it as a radiant later on.
Well, I got it right. I just got the reason wrong, but I got it right.
That's all right. All you need, yes or no.
Okay.
This pink-themed superhero can make portals and showed up at the end of Volume 1 of Radiant Black.
Radiant pink.
Like, is she a radiant?
But is she called Radiant Pink in the pages of the book?
No.
Yeah, no.
Radiant Pink is called Radiant Pink one time she is added by a follower, and she's at Radiant Pink.
Oh.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yep.
Man, you dug deep. Okay.
I know.
Wow.
Yep. The energy blast that Marshall helps train Nathan to use on Cow Toys.
On the Cow Toys.
Yes. Do they call that a Radiant Blast or in issue? They practice using it, I believe, in issue 4.
4. Okay.
Yeah, in issue 4, they start using it.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that. No.
That's right. Nope. They've never given a name. It's just an energy blast.
I was like, is that a Kamehameha?
Well, because I'm like Marshall. If I remember, like Marshall, like he went through that period where he was trying to market a bunch of different things, and so I don't think he'd call it radiant. He'd call it something much more marketable than.
I mean, I could see him calling it a Radiant Black's Radiant Blast.
Well, now,
like that.
Yeah, but back then, no.
This yellow-themed superhero has precognitive abilities, but much more of him is a mystery.
But is he referred to as a radiant?
I'm going to say no. I don't think he's been referred to as a radiant yet.
I'm going to say yes.
The answer is no. No one has ever called him Radiant Yellow in the book.
Yeah, because I just read 13.
Yellow?
I say he's Mason just reread everything today, whereas
the last few issues, but yeah.
I've read them as they came out.
Yep. They call him Yellow. They call him Yellow Guy. They call him Wendell, but they never call him Radiant Yellow. That's an assumption made by the fans. He also doesn't have a Twitter, so I mean, obviously he is Radiant Yellow, but now we know of. This red-themed superhero can absorb matter into herself to make enhanced armor.
Yes.
Yeah. Radiant Red. Yeah.
Radiant Red is called Radiant Red one time in Radiant Red #1. I thought she was a no until I read Radiant Red #1 to double check, and that is the only time she was referred to as Radiant Red.
Yeah, I read Radiant Red 1 today as well. So yeah, why I knew that one.
Okay, last one.
Horrible at this.
This giant robot lives in existence.
No.
No, yeah, it's not called a Radiant.
Nope, not called a Radiant. Some
Yeah.
fans call it the Radiant Robot, but nope. I didn't keep score,
I think
but
we tied.
I think you tied. You guys got, for the most part,
Yeah.
you diverted on a few answers, but yeah, it was just something I noticed specifically with Radiant Yellow. I'm like, wow, they never really call him Radiant Yellow. It's just us who call him that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I like this game a lot. That required a lot of thinking, and it wasn't just like your typical trivia game. Like that was good. Kyle probably would have actually really dug that.
I thought about bringing Kyle in, but I knew he had to get going, and there was more important things than silly games. But God, it would have been fun if he got some wrong, wouldn't it? Just be like, no,
we wouldn't be able to release
never
this.
named that.
We'd have to edit it out. Get a couple faces on the screen of him just being like, yes, but Mason have to splice in.
Right.
But he also has the get out of jail free card of, oh well, it's going to be in issue 20. You just haven't read it yet.
I've already planned issue 36, and that's when he's called Radiant Yellow.
Yeah,
they may never call him that. I mean,
I'm just playing. Yeah,
that's the crazy thing.
Maybe. I mean, he might just be Wendell.
But see, that's the thing. That's his meta game that he plays, like his 4D chess. Like, and I honestly don't know, but like there may be a reason why he's not being called Radiant Yellow yet in the book. There might actually be a reason for that.
I mean, if we follow the pattern, there should be like a Radiant Yellow, like one shot in issue. It was first in issue 6 was Radiant Red, and then 12 was Radiant Pink. So that would mean 18 should be a Radiant Yellow.
We haven't even gotten to like we haven't gotten to some of the other stuff, like the upcoming Shift that's going to be in the Image
Shift's
special,
gonna be real cool.
Done by Daniele Dinaculo.
Oh, nice.
From his time, if you guys remember, the artist for Shattered Grid. That is his co-owned character with Kyle is Shift. So if and
he's
when
also
that ever
the
gets
artist
its own
on
series,
7 Secrets.
Yes, if and when Shift ever gets his own series, Daniele will be the one drawing that. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I hope so.
That'd be fantastic.
I think
I'm not sure how much longer we're going to be going for, but we might as well call this spoiler section if we're going to start talking about Shift.
Yeah, we can do that.
Might as well. I mean, all that went out the window when Kyle came on. Priority was talking to him. But let's just go wild. We can talk about spoilers however we want from this point onward.
Yeah, I think Radiant Yellow Wendell is probably the biggest like enigma to me in the series right now, just because obviously we've had these one shots for the other ones, and Radiant Red has her own series, but as far as that, I feel like they're building to something bigger with him. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Well, there's obviously something bigger going on because we had the little teleportation into this huge intergalactic battle in like issue 11 or 12. So we know there's something. Obviously, something's happening, and they all turned and saw. And it's just. And you have to remember the villain that was there earlier in the series that was there looking for the Radiants themselves. So obviously we do know that there's something big coming, and obviously this big giant robot has to have something to do with everything too. But like we said, it's that room to breathe. It's not like they introduced it in issue 3 and then by issue 8 the robot's there fighting, and then by issue 10 it's all said and done. We're going into year 2,
and now
we don't even have the full scale of what actually has happened. We still don't know anything about these Radiants other than they're from a far, far away.
Yeah,
it's the only thing we know.
And now that we are kind of in spoiler country too, there is that radiant-looking green guy floating over Earth, just saying "soon" in Supermassive.
Yep.
Right.
And we still have no idea what that's all about.
It's JDF. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh Lord, no.
It's not. I promise you, it's not.
Yeah, that's true because there's so many there's so much like there's so many Easter eggs and things that I just feel like we're going to have some of those, like he's talking about year 3, they've got something planned really big that they're laying the groundwork for, that we're just going to be like, oh, okay. And
Mhm.
I mean, when, they build this, the first 4 issues of the book as Nathan's book, but also with a ton of character development on the side for who is actually going to become Radiant Black. So, I just feel like there's so much of that laced into this book from the very beginning. That's, it's super fun to keep up with and, explore for sure.
Yeah, it is. And like even as far back as like, did you guys watch the Radiant Black trailer they released before issue 1? There's
Yeah.
like this really sick trailer. And watching again after like kind of getting caught up in the books, I'm like, oh, there's Satomi. Oh, there's like all these characters that are like in the book now that were just kind of like almost like black and white, just background characters that all of a sudden are like super duper important. And I think we're gonna have a lot of aha moments once year 3 comes. We'll see what seeds have been planted.
I do like that. Where like year 1 was like introducing the heroes, year 2 is introducing the villains. So year 3, obviously, it's when you either gonna come back together and fight, or I mean, I don't know. Kyle's also very punishing to his characters sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
they
He's the man who stabbed
he killed the Green
White
Ranger.
Ranger. Like he killed the Green Ranger, yeah.
Killed the Green Ranger, killed Radiant Black on issue.
Stabbed
like,
Tommy
5.
Oliver, killed. He was dead for like, a minute maybe. They resuscitated him, but still essentially killed him off as a hero.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're introduced to Nathan. We're all like, oh yeah, who hasn't been in debt and struggling and stuff like that, and then and then you start getting used to it. Then boom, just kidding, new hero.
Yeah.
What?
And I think those scenes where he's sitting on his porch eating the cereal, yelling at the kids in the book.
Those are the best. Those kids are the best.
I mean, but even those little things, there's so much character building in that little bit of how just angry this guy is in general, and how he's got so much he's working through. And it's relatable. I mean, it's all super relatable in as being, that age group essentially, which is cool. So it's like
Marshall is the character that, like, he's not supposed to be the hero, right?
Yeah.
He's kind of it's almost like Rogue Sun. He's kind of an asshole. Pardon the language. He's self-serving. It's. But you're seeing that evolution in him as he, like obviously he felt horrible about what happened to Nathan, and so he felt like he had to shoulder that burden of being Radiant Black, and now it's kind of like now he's etching himself into that role. Like now he kind of feels like he is Radiant Black. Radiant Black is Marshall. Marshall's Radiant Black. But I feel
I've never seen that motivation before.
In a superhero book, no.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely unique, but I feel like that story's not done. I feel like I think there's been a couple, especially like in that Blacklight issue. I feel like that is setting up some sort of stage where, because Marshall or Nathan wasn't just in a coma, he was trapped like in the Radiant or something like that. To me, it came across as like he's still connected to the Radiant.
Oh, he is for sure. There's like,
so if he's still connected to the
flicks of
Radiant
it, right.
and Marshall's connected to the Radiant, how can two of them be connected to the same Radiant? And what down the road, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And I think that maybe that's what Kyle's referring to in year 3. I honestly don't know, but
yeah, I don't think this will be the last time we see Nathan power up in issue 4. Like is something, whatever, if they're building towards a new hero for him or like, whatever. But yeah, I mean, just lace throughout the issues, and what was the real crazy one issue was when Nathan came back to life. That was issue 10, I guess. where the style of the art was really crazy when he was traveling through the dimensions and stuff and all that.
Yep.
But yeah,
Right.
I mean, Nathan is very much connected, and whether they're going to switch between him being Radiant Black back to that at some point, or like a whole new hero, or maybe he's going to become the villain at some point. Yeah, I don't know. Like,
don't-
is he?
That'd be pretty sick.
Quite a heel turn.
I don't think you can. Like, if anyone can pull it off, it's Kyle. Personally, I would struggle to see, like, how do you sell switching heroes again?
Yeah.
Like, how do you sell that to your reader if you have someone who's read every single issue and they're with you, and you do this in, what issue 20 or issue 25 or something like that, if you then do a switch back, how do you sell that to the reader who's now accustomed to and maybe even really likes the character of Marshall?
Right.
You risk alienating part of your fan base. You can't just keep switching characters like that. So that's the only thing that'd be like, well, okay, then what do? Do you does one become a superhero and one doesn't? Does one, like you said, does one become a villain? Like, that would be the emotion. I'm not ready for the emotional heartstrings on that one just yet. So I hope that doesn't happen. But
the other thing is that, like, Nathan is happy now. Like, as of the latest issues, he's writing again. He's back with his girlfriend. He's like closer than ever with his parents who were helping him pay off his debt. Like, by no means this is Nathan's ending, but he's really, really happy now, which means either like he can be content being on the sidelines while Marshall does kind of the superheroing, or maybe all of that's going to be taken away from him.
I was gonna say, this is Kyle Higgins.
And that's going to be tough. Yeah.
Nathan would not continue to be shown in the story unless he's going to play a part future in the story, which unfortunately would mean, since now Nathan has everything he wants, that means you have to take it
it's
away.
all going to go.
You have to take it away.
That's just how it works.
And if that is what happens, sign me up. I am interested in watching what happens and how and why, and is there resentment, and if so, for who? I don't know. I don't know. It's been such a fun ride, and I really, really hope, and I think we should definitely on the site focus a little bit more on our Radiant Black coverage. I feel like I slacked a little bit, but
I definitely slacked during the Ranger week. I was writing
we all slacked
Red Ranger D&D things, but I am coming back and gonna start writing about Radiant Red, because I'm not sure if you guys read Radiant Red #2, just came out yesterday. But
sorry.
All right. It's awesome. It's amazing. It's Radiant Red #1 was kind of a continuation off of, Radiant Black #6. It was just checking back in with Satomi and her dirtbag husband, who, by the way, great non-superpower villain in Owen. Yeah. Like, just seeing like a really toxic household that she is in, and like her situation and everything. Just, that's another one of those, like you were saying, Chris, like moments where you can see Kyle, not even just Kyle, Cherish Chen is writing these. See Cherish kind of putting someone that is going to crush Satomi in some way in the future, whether his redemption and death, or whether he does something truly evil again, like stealing like all of her, I think it was she was going to go back to university and stole all her money. Was that it?
He gambled all her money away or whatever.
He gambled all her money away.
Yeah, and the fact, what's really cool about her character arc is like I'm glad they're focusing more on her in her own series, because like that the way that whole thing worked, it was like, it looked like she was just going to leave him, like, I'm done. And then at the end of the book, she walks in with the money and she's like, I fixed our problems. Like, so she's invested in this guy, in whether it's like an emotionally abusive way or whatnot, but like she's invested in this guy, like, and he's obviously just really a dirtbag. And if that becomes something more, or if that's just what it is, and she ends up leaving him. But like, these are real world problems that are being blown out into this like cosmic universe that they're building. That's, I feel like we've all known that guy, we've all known that guy in our life, whether
We've
it's
known
been a
that guy,
family member.
and we've known the
Right.
girl who's been with that guy and won't leave that guy for whatever reason. It's
My
all
parents.
Yep.
like I connected with that story because that was my mom for so many years with my father, and all that kind of stuff. So like it's just really interesting to like how they're really tugging on some heartstrings here, which is cool, especially for me with that story. So
Yeah, because you'll see in a lot of movies like, oh, someone's in an abusive relationship, and then their eyes are open. They have a big long speech about how terribly they've been treated, and I'm leaving and I'm taking the dog. But unfortunately, something more realistic is I'm in this terrible situation, but
hard to
I'm
see a way
committed to
out.
this person.
Yeah.
And like the problem isn't the person that on some level I love and committed to. The problem is something else. And for Satomi, click that the problem is money. So I am going to do extreme things now to make sure that I have the money, and then the problem will go away and my relationship can be good. And that is sad. It's really sad, but it's really, really real.
Yeah.
That's again, and that goes back to this whole universe is how real everything feels. I mean, when
Mhm.
Nathan was in a coma after the building collapse or whatever, and Marshall disappeared for they said like 6 days, something like that.
Yeah.
Didn't visit him for 6 days, or when they thought there was nothing to be done or whatever, and Marshall disappeared for 6 days. He didn't disappear for 6 days. He went and got Nathan back out of a coma and passed out.
Mhm.
Through the whatever. And it's like he saved Nathan. Nathan knows he saved him, but everyone thinks he's just a scumbag and a dirtbag, and he's a jerk, and
Yep.
he wasn't at all. And for maybe not exactly that situation, but I feel like a lot of us can relate to something like that, where for whatever reason people think you're trash, they have a trash opinion of you for something when they don't know the whole story.
Right.
Mhm.
And in some cases a story that you don't just walk up and explain the situation to them so they understand it. Like
Yeah.
I felt that because I've been in that situation, like in social circles, dating back, you can go 20 something, 30 something years if you want, where for whatever reason people think a horrible thing about you, and that's not true because you're protecting someone's secret, you're something like that, so you don't say anything to defend yourself, and they just have this horrible opinion of you, like, oh, you're a piece of garbage, and your one friend is like, hey, I really appreciate you, you know
Mhm.
not giving anything away or whatever, but I'm gonna go live my happy life now. thanks
Right.
thanks
Yeah.
for thanks for looking like a jackass and helping me out. That but you see that fuel. That's what I love. You see that fuel Marshall's behavior. Like you see, like that's why he lashes out sometimes the way he does, which is cool too. Like this is a superhero that when he gets pissed, he lashes out and things happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. The big emotions from Marshall is definitely like apparent, where Nathan was kind of more reserved and like, I'm the good guy and all this. And Marshall is just like, he's got some demons, that he's dealing with besides getting, powers from a black hole. So like, it's cool. It's going to be fun to watch where this next year goes. And I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know what else we could say about this series. We could probably go on and on and on, but I think it's, I would just tell like I told Kyle, I mean, like this is an interactive experience and get in now while it's
Yeah.
You can
while
get it now.
it's
You have 2 trade paperbacks you can pick up. Super
right.
massive. It's still readily available online, in the sense that you can order it from online retailers. It may not be in your comic store, but
Yeah.
you should be able to order some
Mhm.
copies online if you want to. That's how I got mine. But yeah, like don't miss out. Pick up Rogue Sun. Pick up Radiant
Mhm.
Red. Inferno
Mhm.
Gold Red. It's not going to come out till later this year. It's supposed to come out in like June. It's not going to be till like August, September, even maybe October.
Yeah.
That will go to certain comic stores if they order it. So when the solicitations for that go up, this is from the Kickstarter, right? Because they hit that
Yep.
unlock goal. Image will distribute it if a comic store would tell your comic store to order some copies of Inferno Gold Red. Get into it, enjoy it, spread the word, like let's have fun with this, because I'm telling you, like this for Kyle, this is like the perfect time to strike, right? Because we're all in a way burned out a little bit. I think you had the Avengers Endgame come and all those Marvel superheroes, like the big ones.
Yeah.
Spider-Man aside, because let's face it, No Way Home is a masterpiece of a movie in my opinion. But
Well, yeah.
um, I got burnt out on Iron Man. I got burnt out on Captain America. I'm honestly kind of burnt out on some of these Marvel superheroes shows that you're seeing on Disney Plus. Moon Knight aside, I'm really interested in watching that, but I haven't watched Hawkeye. I haven't watched The Winter Soldier and Falcon, or Captain America. I haven't watched The Scarlet Witch, not because I don't want to. I do at some point, but I'm burned out. I am so burned out. Like, and then you have another Batman movie. And we just had the Justice League, the Snyderverse cut, just a few months before that, and then you had another Suicide Squad. I'm burnt, and it's the same. That's what I'm trying to say. It's the same characters
Formula.
again and again
It's the same
and again.
formula.
And it's the
Yeah.
same formula.
Yeah.
It's a copy paste formula again and again and again with characters who are unbelievable, but they cast big name celebrities. And all that aside, when the dust settles and people get their fix out of the way, a comic and a hero like Radiant Black and the way it's written, and that universe with the rogue son who's dealing with a supernatural, right? So it's not just super villains. It's like your New Orleans like mythological creatures and stuff like that is fantastic. And Infernal Girl Red in a different dimension, but an entirely believable story with a really like awesome character. Like the skin condition that she deals with, my sister has that. That's not something that I've ever seen represented anywhere ever in my entire life. And
Same. Yeah.
growing up in the 80s, I'm sorry, like that crap messed with my sister's head. And she still suffers from a lot of mental illness caused from the teasing and the bullying of why her skin is bleaching itself. So Little Lego, I believe is what it's called. But I block it out because I don't like to think about it because that's not who my sister is. You know what I mean? But whatever. But all that aside, what I'm trying to say is these other big name superheroes, they're fun, they're interesting in the moment, but I'm not reading the comic books. I'm not reading a Thor, I'm not reading Iron Man, I'm not reading Spider-Man, I'm not even reading X-Men, and I love the X-Men. The only comics I'm reading are Radiant Black, Power Rangers, and that's about it, honestly.
Yeah. And with that, like Rogue Sun they're all so different is the thing. Like Rogue Sun, it's like Ryan explained to us. Go check out our interview we did with him on Rogue Sun, but he's the guy, he's not the kid getting shoved in the locker. He's the guy doing the shoving. So like, there's so many different personalities here and things that like we've hammered over and over. Anybody can connect with some character in this universe. And whether you're going through, and you may connect with some of them at different points in your life and stuff like that too, which is cool. And like I said, like I was talking about with Supermassive, we didn't know Rogue Sun, we didn't know Inferno Girl Red, but the way they were introduced to us, it was like, oh, we know these characters, I got it. Okay, I understand, just by little dialogue that's been represented here. So if you're looking for something new, fun, exciting, fresh, always keeping it fresh, check out these comic books because it's
Mm-hmm.
I've been banging on it on the doors with my friends and just my family and people that I know. I'm like, read these because it's so different, but also so much of it's a different formula to get a really cool product. So
Yeah.
Like we were putting together Easter baskets for my wife's sisters. And my 14-year-old sister-in-law is like really just like going into high school, like really into comics and art. And I'm like, I'm going to put Radiant Black Volume 1 and Supermassive in there. Because even if she doesn't necessarily vibe with like the having to drive for Uber, Radiant Black, Marshall, Nathan thing, just by reading that, she's introduced to Radiant Red, like Radiant Pink, like Inferno Girl Red, like all these great like female heroes I think she might vibe with, and then can kind of follow on with further. Like it's a whole universe opening up and there's something there for everyone.
yeah, well, like even my 6-year-old, he's not he's not like fully reading every word and all that, obviously, which I'm okay with, but like he collects every issue. He's my library. I was like, hey dude, I need like these 6 issues. And he was just like, oh yeah, let me go get them. He's like, pulled them up out of his thing. He's like, here you go. Because he loves the visuals in the book and the art and just the character creation and stuff. That's from his standpoint, the art and all that kind of stuff really appeals to him and stuff. So it's cool. I can't wait for him to listen to this interview and stuff too. He's going to be excited about it. So.
But yeah, I think we should wrap this up. Obviously, we recommend Radiant Black and everything else. But is there anything else you guys want to recommend or plug before we end the podcast?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, just check out EFNcool. We just finished, obviously, in the month of March. We did the EFNcool Madness Red Ranger edition, where we had every single Red Power Ranger fight against each other. The fans voted, and one lucky fan got to take home 20-something toys as a giveaway for it, just because they participated. That's it. We have a lot of more cool stuff, EFNcool stuff, if you will, coming down the pipeline. Some of it rather soon.
Yeah, so about a week from this podcast, I'll have an announcement to make. From when this podcast comes out, I'll have a cool announcement coming out that people will want to stay tuned to, because it's going to be fun.
It'll be fun, and I think that's the thing, is that we have a lot of fun stuff planned across all sorts of mediums on the website, podcast, YouTube, Twitch. We have a lot of stuff planned. Just give us time to sit down and actually get to it. Just because, the most effing cool thing about everything is the fact that we all have families and we all have, other responsibilities and commitments that we keep. But we're still coming together to put all this cool stuff together. And
in much like Radiant Black, we're just all a bunch of friends hanging out, new friends, old friends, this and that. We're just all a bunch of friends hanging out. So hit us up on socials. Like, tell us what you think. Tell us your opinions. Tell us how cool you think Radiant Black is, or your opinion on this or that. We would love to hear it. Everybody, connect with us. Keep an eye out on socials. Like Chris said, we're going to have something hopefully cool coming in June. Something is close as next week that's going to be coming. So just, keep it tuned.
If you guys want a Radiant Black giveaway, let me know.
Tell your friends. Yeah. And obviously
reply to this wherever you're seeing this or hearing this, reply to it and say you want a Radiant Black giveaway. Cause I have a lot of copies I can give away. Like, hard to find copies of stuff. So
yeah. And you heard Kyle earlier say he takes some credit for EFNcool, and here we are,
I didn't know that. Yeah.
It's been a wonderful idea that, between him and Chris, they talked about, and Chris has really hammered out and brought in a lot of fun people to execute the idea. So unless you guys have anything else to say, close us out, Tyler.
Just real quick, I'd also like to plug, if you want to hear more about Radiant Black, the EFNcool Podcast, we talk about whatever we want. But the Radiant Black Podcast is one that I listen to and would recommend if you guys want to get more involved in Radiant Black. And they also started the Radiant Black Discord, which Kyle and Michael and everyone else we talked about is pretty active on. So just giving those fine folks a plug, because they do a lot of great work for Radiant Black. But yeah, this has been the EFNcool Podcast. Chris, Mason, thank you so much for letting me do this thing and introducing me to Kyle. That was a huge surprise. That was really, really cool of you guys. I will talk to you guys later. You guys have a good night.
If you like what you heard, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Want to get in touch? Tweet us at EFNcool, or you can email us at EFNcoolemail@gmail.com.